Welcome back everyone to the second video in our series about using CKSurf and zoning with it on surf maps. So let's get right into this second video here. This is going to teach you how to zone linear surf maps with CKSurf. We're on Surf Air Control KSF version right now, and on our servers this is already zoned, so you can see our start zone here. A little ways down the map you're going to be able to see what you didn't see in the last video, which is that blue box there on the wall. That is a checkpoint zone. Very important for linear surf maps are checkpoint zones. So in the last video we talked about stage maps, and when you zone a stage map, when you create the stage zone, it automatically creates a checkpoint for you. On a linear map, since you don't have stages, you have to manually create checkpoint zones because there are no stages. So let's go back to the start here. Let's bring up our zones menu. And we're going to hit 6 to delete our zones. And it's going to give you the warning, no, you don't want to delete it. Well, yes. Yes, we do want to delete it. So yes, do it. All zones are now cleared. Let's reload the zones with 5 just to be sure they're all gone. And they are. So we're good. Alright, so just like in our last video, we're going to hit 1 to create a zone. And we're going to create a normal map zone. So 1 again. And our start zone. So 1 again. We hit all that. We make sure we want to pick our starting point. Yeah, it's about right here. Looks good. So we're going to hit 1 to start drawing our zone. We picked our first point of where our start zone at. Now let's pick our second point, which is going to be about, that looks good, right there. So let's hit 5 to save this zone. And we have our flat starting zone, like we always had. So let's edit our zone with 2. Normal map zones, 1. And hit 1 for start, because we're going to edit our start zone. We'll hit 8 to go to our next menu, and 2 to stretch the zone. And let's hit 8 and change our scale, because right now if we decided to raise the height of this zone, it would only raise it by 1 unit, and we need to raise it by like 40 units. So if we change our scale to 10, which we have to hit that twice so that we now have a scale size of 10. Now we hit 6 to raise our height, and it raises our start zone much faster. So long as it's high enough that we can't jump out of it, it's a good start zone. So let's hit 9 to exit this menu. We'll hit 5 to save it. And we have our start zone. Something that I didn't mention in the start of the video that I mentioned in the first video, we want to edit our zone settings, which is option 4. And for staging or zoning linear maps, we want to see all sides visible and all draw zones. The reason for that is sometimes you can't always see the checkpoint zones when you're zoning them. But with all zones and all zone types visible, we will be able to see all of our zones. Now, like I said, right now we have a start zone, which is fine. Now we need an end zone, because right now we can start the map, but we can't end the map. And we'll worry about the checkpoints in a little while. We want to make sure that we have zoned the start and the end of the actual map, and then we can go back and put the checkpoints in. So let's just have some fun surfing to the end of the map so we can create our end zone. And this is in no way a speed run, because that was a terrible, terrible line. Alright, now that we've made it to the end of the map, I want to zone this just, yeah, it looks about right. We don't want to zone it too far away from this, because then people can just, fly around the end zone. They won't hit a time if they go way out here. So we want to make sure we're lined up about there, And we'll start our end zone drawing about here. So let's create a zone, normal map zone and end. And we'll start drawing this zone right here. Now we want to make sure that we line up with the other exit point right here. So let's cruise over here. Let's get ourselves lined up. And now we want to put it about there. Like it's going to line up exactly like that if we put it about right there. But we don't want to go past this point because then we would be past this one right here. So we're going to put it right there and save this zone. I hit our no clip just to make sure we don't get a time. So now our end zone is lined up perfectly with the exit right there. And it's lined up perfectly with the teleporter right here. Now we just need to raise our zones, so we're going to edit the zone, normal map zone, and end. Hit 8 for the next menu, and we're going to hit 2 to stretch our zone, and we're going to raise the height of our zone. Now we want to make it just a little bit taller than what that is right there, that height. So that looks about right. Oh, go up a little bit higher. About there. That way you can't come shooting out the top of the end zone and get a time as you cruise through the top of this thing. You actually have to surf the sides here or come through the middle and control your surf as you come through the end zone. So that looks like a good zone to me. Let's hit 9 to exit and 5 to save our zone. And now we have our end zone. Now since we have all zones turned on and all zones visible, we're able to see the entire square that we zoned there. What I didn't tell you or show you in the last video is how to turn those back off. If we wanted to turn those back off, all we have to do is hit 4 to edit zone settings. And our first option there, visible, instead of all sides, we want it to be lower edges. So you'll only see the lower edge box of the start zone and the end zone. And if you don't want people to be able to see your checkpoints, change your 2 option, your draw zones, to start and end only. What that'll do is that will only allow them to see the lower edge of the start zone and the lower edge of the end zone. If you were to leave this on the start, end, stage, and bonus, they would be able to see the blue box zones for the stages, which linear maps don't have, and they would be able to see all of the bonus zones, which this map does not have either. Or, third option, you can leave it on all zones, they'll be able to see everything, which you really don't want them to be able to see. All you want them to be able to see is the bottom lower part of the zone for the start and the end. They don't need to know where the checkpoints are, they don't need to know where the stage zones are. So, moving on to checkpoints. Checkpoints are very important for linear maps because they don't have stages, and people want to know how fast they're doing for certain stages of the map. So what we do for linear maps is we create a new zone, and it's going to be a miscellaneous zone. I'm sorry, not a miscellaneous zone. It's going to be a normal zone, and it's going to be option 4 for checkpoint. So we hit checkpoint, and let's put ourselves in no clip real quick so that we can fly around. All right, now the thing about checkpoints is you don't want to put them too close to the start. That's asinine. You really don't need a checkpoint right here. I mean, you can, but you really don't need it. Pretty much what you're going to checkpoint is how fast you're going to be from the start zone to this point. That could be good if you have slow players going this route all the way around and fast players choosing this route to cut the corner. But I choose to put this checkpoint down here a little bit farther just to see how fast they actually are through that corner in this section. So we're going to start drawing a checkpoint about right here. Start drawing our checkpoint. And it's going to be a somewhat flat surface, so we just want to make sure that the players are actually going through this. So we're going to put it right up there, and we're going to save this zone with 5. Now, once we pass through this checkpoint, CKSurf is going to tell us we've reached checkpoint 1. And on our timer in the middle with CKSurf, it's going to tell us how fast or how slow we are compared to our previous personal best and the stage record for this zone. So you want to make sure that when you create your checkpoints, it's going to be at a spot where people are going to go through it, and you want to make it big enough just in case someone tries to go over it or around it. You want to make sure that people are captured as they go through the checkpoint. So we have our first checkpoint there. Now we're going to go create our second checkpoint. Since this map is about 40 seconds, we're probably going to put in 3 to 4 checkpoints. About every 10 seconds, 10 or 15 seconds. So here's another great place for a checkpoint is right here. People want to know how fast they're going through this tube because it's a very fast line. Once they flick off of this ramp here, if they're using the fast line, they're not going to touch anything else in here, and they're going to strafe around to hit this ramp here and cruise right through this tube to that hump. So we're going to put our next checkpoint right here. Yeah, that'll be fine. So let's create a zone, normal map zone, and 3 for checkpoint. We're going to start drawing our zone there. And we're going to make sure that we get the whole circle there. Even though you can't go around the circle, the only place you can go is through the circle. We're still going to make it the outer circumference of the circle. So let's save this zone. And if we fly through this, CKSurf says we've reached checkpoint 2. The great thing about checkpoints is they don't have to be a box. They don't have to be a 3D box. They can be a flat box right on the wall, so long as you're passing through it, because this creates basically an invisible field. Once you break that plane, it sees that you've gone through the checkpoint, and that's all you need. That's very easy because making a 3D box when you don't know exactly which dimension you need to bring out or push in, yeah, it's just a lot easier to do it that way. So that was our second checkpoint. Now we're going to make our third checkpoint right here on this wall. This is another reason why we put a checkpoint here is this is the fast line coming out of this tube. Once you hit the side ramp of that tube, you come out and you hit this ramp, this ramp, this ramp, and then you flick all the way around this wall to hit this ramp here. None of the fast routes hit any of these other ramps in here. So we're going to create a checkpoint here. Create a zone, normal map zone, and 3 for checkpoint, and we start drawing this zone. This zone we're going to make a little bit larger, just like that. And we're going to save this zone. Should be right on the edge of that wall there, and the edge of that point there, so that once we cruise through this checkpoint, we've reached checkpoint 3, says CKSurf. Now, it's up to you how many checkpoints you want to put in your map. 3 for air control is not bad. It's about every 15 seconds, 15 or 20 seconds you get a checkpoint. And there's really no need to put another checkpoint near the end of this map. You can if you want to, but you really don't need to. And here's our end. So let's turn no clip off. Let's go back to the start here. And we're going to take a quick run through the map just to make sure that all the checkpoints are working as we go through them. Now, an argument can be made that you can put a checkpoint at the start there, but I really don't like to. Alright, so we've gone through our first checkpoint. It says we're good. You'll notice on the timer that it says I'm plus 85 milliseconds compared to my best run, and it says that I'm 25% done with the map. I'm also 1.29 seconds behind the stage record. That's good. That's what we want to know. We want to see if we are ahead or behind of our personal best, and we want to see if we are ahead or behind of our stage record also. That is why checkpoints are very important. So we've gone back through our first checkpoint. Let's hit our second checkpoint and see where we're at. It says we've completed 50% of the map. We're also behind not only on our personal best, but the stage record also. Right there, the second checkpoint, we're 1.78 seconds behind our personal best, and we're 2.51 seconds behind the stage record. But we went through first checkpoint, we're at 25%. Went through the second checkpoint, we're at 50%. So now let's see what we're at when we pass through our third checkpoint. We should be at 75% once we pass through the third checkpoint. And then there's no other checkpoint until we get to the end of the map. So there's our second checkpoint. Our third checkpoint is coming up. There's our third checkpoint. Our third checkpoint should say 75%, and it does. It also says we're behind on both our personal best and the stage record, but that's fine. And there's the end of the map. So all three checkpoints working well. Start zone, end zone are good. Let's go back to our start here. And like we mentioned about halfway through this video, we're going to edit our zone settings with 4. And we're only going to make visible the lower edges. We also only want people to see the start and end of the draw zones. So they will not be able to see the checkpoint zones, and I'll show you that. They'll only be able to see the start zones and the end zones. But the checkpoint zones continue to function. You see that blue box is missing from the wall, but we can still go through it and it's there. It's still there, but the players can't see it. And same thing with this one. You can't see the checkpoint there, but we still go through it and it's fine. And our third checkpoint, you can't see either. That's right there on the wall. We go through it and it still says we're 75%, so we're good. Voila. All right, everybody, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you learned something. If not, you can always ask me questions. I can explain it in further detail if you like. Our third video, hopefully coming up this week or next, is going to involve administering the server, how to upload maps, how to test maps, how to add plugins, see that they're actually working, things of that nature, all the back-end stuff. These first two videos have just been zoning maps with CKSurf, but the third video we're going to get into the nitty-gritty back-end. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you guys later.